just one big story, isn't it?
Welcome to Story Connection. Tonight we are talking with the executive producer, Charles Banks, the host, Don Henkle of Shelter Life. It's a new program. It's going to melt your heart, and we've brought them on to talk about it and draw you into this wonderful thing that they're doing. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Donna. You're welcome, Don.
So I happen to be one of the volunteers that was on your show.
Oh, okay.
Your first show, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I thought, what a great idea. And of course I went home and I wanted to adopt something and was told no. But how did you happen to come across this show? What inspired you to start it?
Well, I met the director of the Front Street Shelter in a class. She was a speaker, and I brought up the idea to her after talking to her, and basically, I'm ADHD, so as soon as she said yes, she would like it, I'm at home sitting there at my drafting table figuring out how to put this whole thing together. So then the next day I went down and I met with her, and she said, oh, the name of the place is Front Street Shelter. So I go back home, and again I'm picking, and Shelter Life came up, because that's the life the little ones, our four-legged friends, some of them have to live until they're adopted out. I had an idea how the show was supposed to go, and I put together a couple of, storyboards and things like that. My wife always says, I'm the person that comes up with the idea, but I need someone else to make it happen, because my attention is like squirrel, and I'm off in another direction. So I said, hey, listen, you get the volunteers, I'll provide the money, I'll provide the equipment, and let's see if we can make this happen. And like anything else, there was 26 volunteers in the room at first. I got a little nervous at first, because all of a sudden people were disappearing left and right. But like always, anything's good. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right?
Yes.
Well, guess what? Bam, here's this core of 6 to 7 people. And it's happening. Like you said, you would have one of our guests on one of our shootings and things. And they're great people. And it's been a blast for me.
Well, that's super. And I'm so happy that things are working out, because it's a phenomenal show. How about you, Don? How did you get involved?
Well, I'm a volunteer at Front Street, and I have been for 2 years. So we have a really good volunteer program. We have technically over 1,000 volunteers. Of course, not everybody's volunteering every day. And when Shelter Life came up, I said, well, I've done a little bit of TV in my background. I did drama in high school. What the heck? Let's go find out what this is about. And initially, in all honesty, I was just going to be a camera operator. And as Charles said, we started out with about 26, and we dwindled it down to a core of about 6 people. And so when you go from 20, 25, or 26 to 6, all of a sudden you're doing multiple roles. And it just came to be that I was actually the one recruiting the talent, the people to interview. And it was not my doing, but I ended up being a host in the studio, which was great, and I have no problem doing it. So Shelter Life is blossoming, shall we say. It is truly a labor of love, I will not lie. The 6 of us are truly devoted to this program. And as you saw on our first 3 that we shot here, we're extremely excited about it. So it's a great program.
I was touched by how many people. I was talking offset with one of the technicians. What a sweetheart, and he's talking about his day and how many animals they bring in and what his role is and stuff like that. It's like you could just see his wings sprouting.
That would have been Jason, right?
Okay, yeah.
And Jason is one of our great ACTs. And what a lot of people don't realize is that Front Street Animal Shelter is the city shelter. And being the city shelter, they cannot be selective, meaning whatever animal comes to them, they have to take it in and they're responsible for. Unlike other shelters who can say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't want to bring a pit bull in. Front Street takes all animals in. Over 10,000 animals a year go through Front Street. 10,000, yeah. So those ACTs, they're our unsung heroes. And
Yeah.
Jason's a great guy, absolutely.
Well, it seemed they all were, everybody who was working at the shelter that you
Oh,
brought
yeah.
on to talk with. So, you're personally involved with the shelter? You volunteer?
Yes.
What do you do?
Well, I'm a volunteer, and when you're a volunteer at Front Street, you can go in numerous different directions, right? You can go into the cat side of the business, you can go into the dog side of the business, off-site adoptions, which will be an upcoming episode. There's all different aspects. Technically, I'm called the king of kennels. I've gone through dog training and everything else, but in all honesty, I love to clean the kennels. And I'm a lead volunteer. I'm a mentor, which means I really help the new volunteers that come in, because when you first walk in as a volunteer to Front Street, it's really nice to have somebody there to help you out your first couple of times, because it can be extremely overwhelming. But to believe it or not, my favorite thing to do is clean the kennels. To this day, it's still my favorite thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Don? Do you volunteer there as well?
No, I am so busy with so many other projects, and I need to. But again, like I said, I'm ADHD, and I have 50 million balls going at one time. I'm trying to balance them and juggle them. I step back, let the experts do. They know, how can I put it? They know what message they want to get across to the public. And so it's better than me sticking my, every once in a while I'll stick my nose in there and find out what's going on. And they'll say, okay, this is the way it's going on. Oh, okay, and then I'll back up out of there.
Yeah.
Charles always brings a different approach.
Yeah.
And sometimes, since it is volunteer run, sometimes we will hit a quagmire or we'll hit a brick wall. And then Charles is really good about saying, okay, guys, let's regroup. What about if we do this or something? And it actually helps get the juices rolling and the gears going again. So he's really good on, especially when we run into that brick wall, to helping us get around that wall. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot, I have so many other things planned for the city. You have no idea what's coming. That's all I can say. You have no idea what's coming. But it's all going to be fun.
Oh,
it's all
good.
informative, too.
So, what is your background as far as producing shows?
As you can see, I'm putting a plug in there. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I joined the military. I joined the Air Force first. I did 8 years in the Air Force, and then I got out, worked for General Motors for a while, worked for PG&E in the Bay Area for a while, and then Thrifties. I was a Thrifties, trained to be a Thrifties manager. And then one day, I'm sorry, but I said, the customer's not always right. So I went and tried to join the military again. Couldn't go back into the Air Force because they wouldn't take prior service. So I went over and joined the Army. So I did 21 years in the Army.
My goodness.
Yeah. And so I retired in 2008. And again, sitting around doing nothing. My wife worked for Sutter. She got laid off. We started traveling for a while. Then she decided to go back to work. So I'm busy working on getting her fired so I can go back off, so we can go off together and see the world. And I sit around and come up with these bright ideas, and thank God for volunteers who can make it happen.
Oh, that's great. So, was there any particular shelter life? How did that baby get conceived?
Well, shelter life, like I said, I'm talking to the director, and she wanted something on TV. When I sat down and did the first couple of storyboards and wrote up a couple of little scripts, I set up an appointment with her and brought him to her. And she kept saying, you'll do it this way and you'll do it this way. And I kept saying, no, you guys will do it this way. You guys will do it like this. And I said, let's just get your volunteers. And if you get the volunteers, I have the equipment. And then, of course, the executive producer is the person that hands out a little bit of the cash to make it happen. And somebody's dream, she was so happy after the first, somebody's dream is coming true. And I know that when I step out of the picture, because eventually I will, because I'll have to go off and do something else, people like Don and them, they're going to keep it going. We have people who are already plan on coming here to learn how to do the job of your crew, so that they can also help keep the project going, because it is a good way to get the word out to the public.
That's awesome. What kind of response are you getting?
It's really interesting. So everybody wants to know when is it airing, right? But we all know that that takes time, and we have to go through the editing process and the voiceovers and everything else you still have to do in this post-production, right? And it's pretty interesting, but the response is nervous, excitement, and actually giggly, to be honest with you. So when one of the things I do is I recruit the talent for the in-studio interviews. And we're obviously trying to focus in on different positions within the shelter itself, because a lot of people, they just see the dogs in the cages or the cats behind the glass, and they don't know what happens behind the scenes. That's why we had the ACTs, the animal control officer, Jace. That's why we're going to have people representing the foster program. I can go on and on about the topics that actually help make the shelter function, right? So everybody is getting excited. Getting the first guest booked was a little nerve-wracking, I won't lie to you, because they all got nervous. After we got done, they all said, oh, I want to come back and do more.
Oh, good.
And the thing about it is as we were talking, especially with the ACTs, Jason and Cassie, we ran out of time. I mean, we really ran out of time because there's so much that they do individually on their daily basis of their job that it really is good to help outreach to the community. And I guess if I had to say what is the ultimate goal of Shelter Life, not only is it to put a spotlight on Front Street Animal Shelter, but it's also to have education and outreach. Because believe it or not, there are still people who live in Sacramento city limits who do not know about Front Street Animal Shelter. And it's been here over 100 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I had no idea. Until I became involved, it was still the city pound. It was the dog pound. And the director, she made it very clear, well, no, we are no longer the pound.
Right.
Okay. If I can't, I hope I'm quoting these numbers right, but they've brought the euthanasia part of their business down.
Right, so we call it the leave live rate.
There you go. Thank
Okay,
you.
and the leave live rate is basically the amount of animals who leave the shelter live versus not live. Gina Knepp, who is the shelter manager, came on board 3 years ago and has done drastic improvements. It used to be, and this is kind of in one of the episodes, but since we're talking about it, it was like about a 19% leave live rate, and the rest were basically put to sleep. That has reversed. So last year, our leave live rate was over 80%. And even though that's great, as Gina says, and you'll hear it on the episode, that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
I hear you.
And it's really all about the level and the tone and the expectations that she sets. And as the old saying says, it starts at the top and works its way down. Well, that's exactly true at Front Street. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a little bit of footage to show about
Okay.
a Halloween party of all things that you guys had. Do you want to set that up for us?
Okay, so again, going back to Gina, this was our 4th annual, we call it Haunted Halloween House. And basically what it is it's in the latter part of October in the spirit of Halloween. And we basically close off the entire parking lot, and we have vendors. Grateful Dog is there, Choco Pitbull Rescue is there, realtors are there, food mobile trucks are there, we have a live band, we sell pet paraphernalia, we decorate the shelter with pumpkins and spooks and ghosts and witches and all that. And it's really just an open house for the general public to kind of get a sense of what Front Street's about. And this year it was crazy, it grows every year. And we actually have footage of Ellen, our field reporter and host, and she's actually out there talking to the vendors, to volunteers, to customers. What do they think about Front Street? So yeah, let's have a look. Yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun. All right, let's see what we got.
My name is Ellen Bjork, and we are here today at Front Street Animal Shelter's annual Halloween Fest. We're going to take a look inside today and talk with many of our guests and volunteers. We hope to see you here soon, so come follow me inside.
She's alright. Oh, my baby, clean on the side. Don't you know that she's so kind of wonderful? So kind of
totally missed that.
It was fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on your mailing list.
It's fun. Well, it's not so much mailing list, but do you have Facebook?
I do have Facebook.
Okay, so we have a phenomenal Facebook page.
Okay.
Front Street Animal Shelter, like us. Also, sacpetsearch.com. That'll actually show you all the lovely available animals that are up for adoption, dogs and cats and bunnies even as well. And so we have a great social media campaign going on right now. So there's no reason not to like us on Facebook.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
have to check that out.
Yeah.
And Don, something's coming up on Thursday. Is that the beer? Is it this Thursday, the beer?
No, it's going to be on December, I want to say it's
Oh, okay,
December
good.
18th. It's quite a ways out. But
Oh, good.
December 18th is Beers to Cheers Party. And that's
Okay.
actually, it's one of the events that Front Street puts on to help recognize their volunteer base.
Oh, how fun.
Okay.
Okay.
And they do two festive functions a year for their volunteers. We actually did our major fundraiser of the year is called Pause to Party, and we do that with our great pals at the Auto Museum right across the street, and that's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And we'll probably have some footage spliced in on an episode or two of that as well.
Super. Well, we're going to pitch that for you because this episode will air before that event.
That's great. That's
So we're going to put up the information about that, and also we'll give another shout before we end the show. There was one person that really stuck out in my mind. That was the animal control that brings
Jace.
Jace.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
So we're going to show a little bit of that part of the interview, if you don't
That'd be-
mind.
no, absolutely. He's a great guy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So everybody meet Jace.
One of the reasons I typically don't give tickets to people for, say, a loose dog if they're out at the park is because I don't want to punish people who are trying to do the right thing. I want to teach them how to do it legally. And a lot of times when you find places like dog parks, that's a different group of people. You know, they're the people that are taking their dogs out to exercise them. They have grown up, or they have instilled in them this belief that this is what it should be happening with their dog. There's other people who don't. And those are the people that we tend to need to be able to get access to more often and get more education out to. Because again, those are the areas where we end up having our hot spots, is areas where people don't have internet access. You know, Oak Park is a big one. I know it's probably been mentioned previously. Del Paso Heights. And Oak Park is my favorite place to work. I love working in Oak Park. I love driving around. I stop by people's houses if I see they have animals. I always have dog food on my truck in case they're running low on dog food and they can't make it out to Titanic's pantry because they don't have transportation. And the feeling you get when you're sitting out there with somebody and you start teaching them about pack mentality of dogs, or why their dog may be chewing through their fence every other day, and giving them the tools that they need to prevent that in the future is awesome to me. And it's one of my favorite things about the job.
What a heart.
Jace is really dedicated to education and public outreach. And when you actually see the whole episode, you'll see this passion of his come through. And he is a firm believer in totally obliterating the name dog catcher. Okay? Because that's not what he is. He's an animal control officer. And he really, truly does believe in outreach to the public, the educational outreach. And it's a phenomenal episode, actually. It's really good.
Oh, it's going to be my favorite, I know,
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
was such an awesome person. So what is it, you're going to do how many episodes?
Well, we're looking, the ideal scenario will be to do 10.
Okay.
With that 10, that'll give us time, that 10, and then rerunning that 10, they'll give us time to set up and do a fresh 10.
What we found out is that as we actually started to do the storyboards and who we want to have on the show and the topics we want to cover, there definitely is more than 10, right? But we really feel like getting these first 10 under our belt, and the volunteers have been great at Front Street. Everybody at Access Sacramento has been superb.
Yes.
After we get these 10, then we're going to regroup and say, okay, what do we want to plan for the next? Because there's so many more, as you would say, stories to tell.
Yes.
And we're just tapping the tip of the iceberg. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you have any idea of when this whole thing is going to be launched?
Wow.
Soon I hope.
Yeah, that's all we can say soon.
We've got 3 in the can for sure. Actually, we've got 3 in studio in the can. So those are going to be edited now. We've actually have the Haunted Halloween. That one's basically in the can and ready to be edited as well. We actually have one of on-site, just talking to volunteers who work at the shelter. So we probably have that. And then we've got 2 more studio ones ready to book and film. So it's a rolling process. Sometimes it doesn't happen as fast as we want to, but with all of us being volunteers, sometimes that's reality. But the good news is the ball is rolling.
Yes.
Good.
And this train isn't stopping right now. It's going.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot. If we come out and do a live interview, will you take us around the shelter? Will you show us everything? Can we do
Oh,
a show?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Super.
Absolutely.
All right.
And the thing about it is we'd love for you to do that because
Yeah.
what we always tell people is come down and see us.
Because each one of those animals has a story. I just know.
Yes,
it.
they do.
I just
And some
know
of
it.
them will really tug at your heart.
Oh, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm going to have to bring lots of Kleenex.
Yes.
Wow. So what would you like to share with the audience tonight about how they can become involved or what can they do to help with
Well,
this process?
Like I said, we have a couple of options. Go to sacpetsearch.com, and that really shows all the animals available, but it also will link you to the webpage for Front Street. And
Okay.
at that webpage, you can actually sign up to be a volunteer if you'd like. We never turn away volunteers. And volunteers at Front Street can do numerous things. Not only can you do the basic chores like the kennel cleaning and washing the dishes and doing the laundry, but the offsite adoptions, actually helping with the fundraising for Front Street. You know, there are so many different avenues that volunteers can go to. I guess my plea, if I had to have a plea, would be to say, get to know Front Street Animal Shelter because it's not the pound.
That's right.
Okay, it's your city shelter, and it has come a long way in the past 3 years, and we're only looking up. We're only looking bright and forward. You know, just real quickly, I don't want to get off topic, but last weekend we actually had Kelly Boland from Animal Alliances. She is a world-renowned specialist on animal behavior in the shelter environment. She came to Sacramento last week and did a 2-day seminar for us. 21 people from Front Street were there. The bulk of that 21 were volunteers.
Wow.
Just to learn about the animal behavior that happens in the shelters. So we're constantly growing and expanding our knowledge. And as Gina Neppel testify, Front Street could not operate without the volunteer base. And if you're committed and you love animals, come on down and see us because I guarantee you, you'll have a good time.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we've only got a few minutes left in the show, but I want to put up your information. So why don't you tell everybody again where they can reach you,
Okay.
how to contact you?
So sacpetsearch.com on the web, and that's basically the Front Street website that basically will show all the animals for adoption. And also like us on Facebook, Front Street Animal Shelter, City of Sacramento.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, let's give a little bit of information about the Story Connection, shall we?
The Story Connection airs the second and fourth Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Our companion show, Paranormal Connection, airs the first and third Thursdays of each month. Each episode repeats the following Friday at 1:30 p.m. and Saturday at 5:30 a.m. You can watch these programs online at the same air times by going to accesssacramento.org and clicking Watch 17, or you can watch us on Comcast Channel 17 in the Sacramento region and on AT&T Channel 99. For information on upcoming shows and previous Story Connection guests, go to storyconnectiontv.blogspot.com. You can contact us at storyconnectiontv@gmail.com, and don't forget, join us on Facebook, become a friend, and become a fan.
So in the couple minutes we have left, and it's only a couple, Don, what do you have to say?
No, I'm Charles.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Charles, what do you have to say?
That's all right, huh? My brother Don, we get mixed up
Wait,
sometimes. Anyway,
let me
here we go.
regroup.
Don, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, I was directing the
Right.
question
Oh,
to
okay.
Charles. I'm so sorry, Charles.
You know, I've been sitting here, and a new idea just popped in my head. I can't wait till we're off camera to tell you about it.
Oh, super.
And support the shelter, please.
Great. Well, people like you, and I can see your halo and your wings. People like you are what, facilitates change and good things happening. And you too, Don.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
It's all about the team. It's all about the team. And Like I said, the volunteer base is phenomenal. Everybody at Access Sacramento has been a dream to work with. And it's really nice to have a quality, first-class production.
Super.
Yeah.
Where, do you have the address at the top of your head where the front street?
2127 Front Street. So you take Broadway Boulevard all the way down like you're going to the river, and the last place you can turn, you either turn left to the marina or you turn right and you go to Front Street. 2127.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your fabulous story, and wishing you the best of luck. Best of luck. I know the show is going to be a success, and I know that it's going to be very beneficial.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
Donna.
well,
We really
all right.
appreciate it. We really do.
All right. Say hello to everybody for me, because they were a
Sure
great, great team.
Great.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the Story Connection. We've had a great time, and can't wait till the Shelter Life is on air, so you can watch it for yourself. And we're going to be keeping track of when it's going to air, so we can tell you about it. Okay. So if you've got a story to tell, we're the place to do it. And we're always out there asking if anybody has a story. So if we come up to you and say, what's your story? Hope you're prepared. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. And thank you to my fabulous crew who also come and volunteer their time to put this production together. So God bless everybody. Good night.